Will not Facebook, tweet, or text during the recording of this show. I'm Charlie Sykes, and Sunday Insight starts right now. Good morning and welcome to Sunday Insight. In the week that was, believe it or not, a Wisconsin congressman named Mark Pocan took to the floor of the House of Representatives to warn that global warming was causing warmer Wisconsin winters. Yeah. The nation remembered Martin Luther King Jr. We also marked the 41st anniversary of the Supreme Court decision Roe v. Wade that legalized abortion. And speaking of anniversaries, last Thursday marked the one-year anniversary of this memorable exchange.
We were misled that there were supposedly protests and then something sprang out of that.
The fact is, we had 4 dead Americans. Was it because of a protest, or was it because of guys out for a walk one night who decided they'd go kill some Americans? What difference at this point does it make? It is our job to figure out what happened and do everything we can to prevent it from ever happening again.
Yeah, and meanwhile, Justin Bieber was arrested for DUI and seems to be on track to becoming the male version of Lindsay Lohan. Security fears continue to rattle plans for the Sochi Olympics. And our Sportsman of the Week, Seattle Seahawk corner Richard Sherman.
When you try me with a sorry receiver like Crabtree, that's the result you're going to get.
Now, just imagine how mad he would have been if he'd lost the game. Now, but we start with the state of the state. Governor Scott Walker proposed big tax cuts, citing a growing economy that generated $912 million in surplus revenue. Walker said the state of Wisconsin should give the money back.
What do you do with the surplus? You give it back to the people who earned it. It's your money.
Radical idea. Here's what Walker is proposing: putting $100 million into the state's rainy day fund, providing $406 million in property tax relief, cutting the lowest income tax bracket, which will save another $100 million, and adjusting the tax withholding tables, which provide $322 million in tax relief. Now, not all of the reaction was favorable during the speech. Democrat State Representative Christine Sinicki posted this comment to her Facebook page: OMG, oh my God, this speech is so full of bleep, wish I could get up and walk out. Well, you keep it classy, Christine. Joining me on our panel this morning, the Milwaukee Community Journal's Michael Holt, former State Representative Michelle Litchens, political strategist Linda Bruin, and media trackers Brian Sickma. We'll start with you, Michelle, as a former member of the legislature. Your reaction to the governor's mix of tax cuts?
I thought what the governor chose to do was great. I think we need to remember that the Democrats raised taxes by $5 billion, income and corporate taxes, heading into when the Republicans took it over in 2010. They left us with a $3.6 billion deficit then. And to see the Republicans and Scott Walker make the changes that we needed to make so that we now have surpluses and we're giving it back through property taxes so that everyone in Wisconsin is going to see that, through income tax reduction so that everyone who pays income taxes, even the lowest bracket, is going to see some more money in their pocket. This is fantastic.
Okay, Linda Bruin.
Well, as I said before, I would love to have a tax decrease, and I would hope that he does. But I think that when you give back almost over 90% of that money, when you have a $708 million deficit that you know for the 2015 budget, it's a bit of an over-give back. And I don't want to see a seesaw. We've had it in the past.
You're talking about the structural deficit.
Yeah, and we've had it in the past where we got...
But the structural deficit, people need to understand what you're talking about here. What the structural deficit is, let's assume that we spend exactly the same amount of money we're spending now, but let's assume no growth in state revenue, not one penny, and that's where you get that number. It's a fictitious Madison math number, isn't it?
But you could make a claim that the surplus we're getting has some fictitious pieces to it. The bottom line is, I would absolutely support a major tax decrease. I personally wouldn't have gone as high because I'm worried about, you remember a few years back where we got a check back from the state government and then the very next year they raised the taxes? I don't want that seesaw.
Okay, Brian Sickman.
Well, I don't think that kind of seesaw is going to take place here because I think Governor Walker and legislative Republicans are going to be committed to trying to hold the line on spending. I was disappointed this past budget. It was the largest we passed in state history. But this tax cut is good policy, particularly the property tax cut portion, because I believe property taxes are fundamentally immoral because we're telling citizens of the state of Wisconsin, you don't own your property unless you pay the rent on this. So the controlling property tax is a big deal.
And Michael Holt. By the way, Michael, welcome back to the panel.
Yeah, I know everybody missed me, so I had to get back here.
We did.
that. No, you know, there are many who say that some of this money should have been diverted, or more money should have been diverted to the schools. You know, Republicans, you know, took $900 million away from schools before. Maybe you should put some of it back. You know, there's no guarantee, though, that this proposal will make its way through and become law, because there are some Republicans who are talking about structural deficit, etc.
You're right. I think the vast majority is going to get through, but I think what's really extraordinary, and was extraordinary in the governor's speech, is how far we've come in just a few short years. Back when you folks had a governor in office, we were talking about which taxes to raise and how much to raise them, how big a deficit we're going to have. Now we're talking about which taxes to cut and how much to cut them. I think, you know, the bigger picture here, and the Governor Walker, I think, did a pretty good job of laying it out, was the economy is obviously growing at such a rate that you're able to generate this kind of revenue. It's the kind of dilemma that frankly, any incumbent governor would like to have. So what has your glass half full and what has your glass half empty this week? Let's go around the table. We'll start with Michael Holt.
Well, my glass is half full upon learning that the Mandela-Barnes-led Black and Hispanic Caucus is not only excluding some Hispanics, but wants to invite, or did at least want to invite, white membership, which means it wouldn't be a Black and Hispanic caucus anymore. It would be just a Democratic caucus. It's half full because other people feel the same way I do, so they dropped the idea.
Michelle Litchins.
Well, my glass is half full because of the upcoming Winter Olympics. They're exciting. But to be honest, it is half empty because I fear for our athletes and spectators that Russia will not be able to foil a terrorist attack either at home or elsewhere in the world.
Linda Bruin.
Well, my glass is half full because Wisconsin's Republican legislators and governor want to provide additional state dollars to technical colleges so some of their student waiting lists can be eliminated. My glass is half empty because these same Republicans cut funding for technical colleges by 30% back in 2011, and this new money won't even make up for those cuts.
Brian Sikma.
Well, my glass is half empty because this week marked the 41st anniversary of Roe v. Wade, the Supreme Court decision that has led to the killing of 55 million unborn Americans. But my glass is half full because today, thanks to the efforts of crisis pregnancy care centers, a growing number of people are rejecting abortion in favor of life-protecting alternatives.
Well, my glass is half full. Now, follow me here. My glass is half full because Democrat State Representative Christine Sinicki threatened to walk out of Governor Walker's State of the State speech. It's half empty because she didn't, because if she had walked out, she would have raised the IQ of the room. Next on Sunday Insight, is it high time for Wisconsin to think about legalizing marijuana?